Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to World of Warships. Today, it's a single map, or a single match rather. I'm playing this one solo in my new ship, the Richelieu. I got this thing from a container. Yes, this is still the time that the French ships, I think 5, 6, 7 and 8 of the tiers are potentially in containers. And I got the Richelieu out of it, so I'm really happy that I don't have to go through the entire ground of the Lyon. I didn't quite like that ship. Anyway, as you can see, it has a bit of a weird turret setup. We only have turrets in the bow, 2 quadruple turrets. The stern of the ship is mostly loaded down with secondaries and AA guns. The specialty of the French ships, in case you're not familiar with them, is their speed boost. Now, I'm running the speed boost, I'm running the speed flag, and I just wanted to see how fast this thing can go. Turns out it tops out at 35.3 knots. Actually, we're still speeding up. 35, I think it made 36 something. And by that very good speed, you are able to run down cruisers and destroyers even. Depending a little bit on the type of destroyer, but yeah, you can do it. Now, I don't have the Richelieu set up in the most optimal way. I've built this thing out with a secondary build to make sure that I can scare off destroyers, but mostly because I was still doing the Gold of France campaign and I needed more ribbons, so I thought, okay, let's go for secondaries. Anyway, quite technical, but what you need to know is that the secondary range on this ship is 8.8 kilometers. It's not the best. I can still get 20% more than that when I have the advanced firing, advanced secondaries. Advanced firing computers, or I don't know, I just forgot the term, you know what I mean. Anyway, 8.8 manual secondaries, and I'm racing into sea over here. I know there's 2 destroyers with me, the Akatsuki and the Loyang, and I wanted to speed up and get over here as quickly as possible, while also positioning myself in this little gap here between these 2 islands, because that way I know I'm not going to get flanked. There's not anything that's likely to shoot into my sides, because most of the time they cannot see me, and even if they can, there's still this large island in the way. Now, of course, the enemy starts sending out torpedoes, because we have both an Akatsuki and a Kagero, and yes, a Nuremberg, but I'm not too concerned about his torpedoes. So, time to slow down a bit, let that whole torpedo storm pass. And I'm basically hoping that the destroyers over there are going to spot something. Maybe the Loyang can spot something by the virtue of its hydro. I think it's definitely running the hydro at the moment, because it's able to spot all of these torpedoes. But so far, no destroyers. And the Nuremberg does not really have the room to turn around. So it should, there we go, come out on the other end. Now, this is the first match that I played in the Richelieu, and I'm still getting used to the ship. I'm not very much of a battleship player. I don't really enjoy the standoff, snipish game style. I prefer cruisers, destroyers, and getting in close with the enemy. Now, unfortunately, right now there's not really that much to shoot at, because these islands are in the way. There goes the Nuremberg. What we do have over there, and this is a potential moment for disaster. I was showing too much broadside to the Tirpitz and the Monarch on my right flank. That could have ended pretty damn terribly. Fortunately, these guys were paying attention to somebody else. Now, since I had HE loaded for the destroyers, I decided to send out a salvo. Unfortunately, it went a little short. Did some damage, but now it's time to load the AP. Now, the Loyang has put up a smokescreen. It's going to dissipate soon. And since the Tirpitz is slightly behind the island and the Akatsuki is the only spotter we have over here, we currently cannot see the ship, so neither of us can shoot at it. But there it is. Some return fire coming in, only doing a few thousand points of damage, nothing really too severe. Now, I'm a bit nervous about this Kagero on my flank. I know that if I can spot it, my secondaries can probably take it out, but I'm not exactly sure where the ship has gone off to. And I know that Charles Martel there might be able to help out with my flank. So instead, let's see if I can hit and damage this Monarch. I think I gave it a little bit too much lead, because the Monarch was reversing and is now only starting to speed up. But there we go, almost 13,000 damage on a good salvo. Unfortunately, that thing did knock out my front turret, and that is a weak spot of this ship. These turrets are quite close together. One good AP salvo to, well, not really the bow, but let's say bow towards midships, and you lose half your guns. That is definitely a weakness that you have to consider with this ship. Salvo comes in from the Monarch, perfectly bounces off my deck, no problems there. Secondary turret, or the bow turret, has been repaired. Still reloading. Instead, salvo in on the Monarch, doing one critical, so one of his turrets is out. That means he probably only has 3 guns left on the bow. And as this Tirpitz is perfectly behind the rocks over there and not really posing too much of a threat, I'm able to maneuver away from the Monarch for a little bit, buying myself some time to deal with the Tirpitz. There goes the secondaries. And to get a good salvo in on his broadside. Not exactly sure what this Tirpitz was doing, but he was showing perfect broadside. And he just keeps doing this for a good portion of the game. He just sits there. He doesn't really have anywhere to go. As you can see, he is starting to run away from torpedoes. Let's see, there's the torpedoes from the Loyang. So he's trying to get away from those. Gets hit once, I think. No, he narrowly avoids it. Let's see. I'm not very used to the replay cam. Anyway, you can see that this Tirpitz is in a spot of trouble. He cannot pull forward because he's going to run into torpedoes. He cannot pull backwards because it's too slow and I'm over there firing at him with secondaries and main battery. So instead he just takes a few torpedoes and goes down. Now with that, most of the flank over here is dead. What we have left is a Monarch, a Lion, moving west. And the rest of the enemy team seems to have dispersed to the west of A, which is being defended by Tirpitz, Monarch and Nuremberg. So typing in chat to my destroyers and the Richelieu that I have behind me here, as well as the Charles Martel, let's chase down that Monarch. I was considering going for speed boost here, to boost my way around the island and get a couple of shots in on this guy faster. Right now I'm trying to get a good shot on the Monarch, but he's very well angled away from me. So instead of going for him, I decided to go for the Lion. Again, it's not the best angle that I can get on that ship, but it's something. Secondaries are working over the Monarch, trying to put him on fire. On this angle and a ship this heavily armored, I cannot really hope for anything other than a couple of fires on him. And as the Monarch moves out of secondary range, the Lion moves into secondary range. And the Lion is also presenting broadside, because it seems to be trying to turn in order to get its guns on me. Which is fine for me, because this way he's showing a perfect amount of broadside. I should have aimed it slightly further back there, potentially getting a citadel, but I'll take 15k. Secondaries still firing, and this is something that I really like. If you're bow on, you can still have most of the side, at least the port side currently, from your secondaries firing at the enemy target, regardless of what it is. Now this is when both the Loyang and the Akatsuki come to my help. Akatsuki puts a smokescreen up. Of course, for a battleship, that's handy if you want to stay concealed and want to repair. Mostly works if you're not actively firing, which is not something I'm doing. I'm actively trying to chase down these ships. Secondaries still working over the Lion, really not doing that much damage unless I get a fire. So instead, let's see if we can do some damage to the Monarch, which is once again showing good broadside. But I slightly overestimated that shot and didn't quite get enough damage. I should have aimed it slightly further back there. Now, I'm engaging the Monarch and the Lion at the same time. Lion is now outside of secondary range. I know that there is Nuremberg to my starboard. We have the Richelieu up front, he's not a threat. We have the Monarch up front, who's not a threat anymore because he's well behind the island. Nuremberg I might be able to hit, so I'm looking for a shot. Trying to find the ideal target at the moment. I'm not really finding it, and thanks to the smoke screens from these destroyers, I'm at least able to stay concealed. That's when I spot the Bliss moving into B. Decent salvo on the Bliss, puts him down on 800 hit points. Immediately secondary switch on and do some damage. The guy remains at 592 hit points. He survived, but only just, and he is being fired at by multiple ships on the other flank as well. Now, at this point the smoke screen works to my disadvantage, but not for much longer. There comes the secondary again. I really was not looking to fire at this guy with my main battery, and it turns out I didn't need to. Close quarter expert. Could have happened without a secondary build, but I just... damn it. I like the secondary build on these ships. I know it's not the most competitive. I know you could probably better go for a survivability build on a ship like this. Especially considering that you can only go bow on. But I like the more aggressive playstyle, which seems to work quite well if you have the secondary build, because it means you can run down destroyers, you can chase down cruisers, and you can close the distance to battleships pretty easily in order to get both main and secondaries firing, with main firing AP of course and secondaries firing HE in order to get some potential fire starters. Overestimated the speed for the Lion. He wasn't quite that fast. The Richelieu is coming out front. I know that we still have the Monarch, the Tirpitz. These guys are all facing off against the Bismarck and potentially the Richelieu. So I decided to go south. First to deal off, or to finish off this Lion, and potentially find some targets over here to shoot at. Damage is already 95,000. Try to communicate in chat with the rest of my team saying, hey guys, I'm going to engage this sector from the south. I can go in front, but I'm concerned that I might find the Mayhan over there, which is their last surviving destroyer. Not really interested in dealing with the Mayhan up close. Despite the fact that I'm a secondary build, a couple of torpedoes are not really going to look too well on my bow. So let's just engage the Lion first, head into the cap, maybe get some capture points, which is a little unusual in a battleship. But I found that this ship can pretty much pull it off. Now again, speed boost on. I like how fast this ship can go. 36 knots on a battleship is not something people are going to expect, which means that you can relocate from flank to flank very, very quickly. Looks like somebody's working their horn, but I'm not exactly sure which ship that is, or it's a replay bug. Anyway, Akatsuki nails the Monarch, which just leaves the Richelieu, and he's now pushing out on the other side of the island. The Akatsuki got the kill. Maybe the Loyang still has torpedoes left. And in the meanwhile, I'm just heading around the island. Again, I could have gone north, but I wanted the cap. Just some additional capture points. At this point, I was expecting to find the Mayhan, which is far, far up north. So I had HE loaded and thought, well, why the hell not? HE salvo into the Bismarck. Might as well see what I can do with that damage. Didn't really do that much. Only got 1800, burned off some AA and some secondaries, but nothing too severe. So, as we're capturing it, the Loyang over there is still engaging the Richelieu up close. We have secondary torpedo salvo coming in from the Akatsuki, who's telling the, I think, Mayhan to get out, or sorry, the Loyang to get out of the way. But this Richelieu is really taking too much damage. I think he's flooding, potentially on fire, so he's pretty much toast. Another salvo out on the Bismarck. And decent damage there, little under 5k. And this is the damage that I end up with. 111,000. And just before the game ticks over, I finally get the cap that I want. And with that, that's the first match in the Richelieu. So 111,000 damage, 90 secondary hits, and when I saw that I was quite interested to see how much damage exactly they did. I only set 2 fires out of those 90 hits, so it really didn't do that much. But turns out that it was enough damage and enough performance to get top of the team. Now for the detailed report. As you can see, secondary hits, 90 for only 6,000 damage. This thing only fires high explosive secondary shells. Shells fired 300, out of that only 90 hit, and the fires really didn't do that much damage, so most of the damage came from my main battery. As for credits and XP, decent income, I'm also running some of the flags, especially to get the other missions going for the campaign. But still, I really like this ship. I think it's a good start, and of course matchmaking was favorable. I still have to see how exactly this thing tiers up at tier 10. Now, if you want to join me at World of Warships and you are new to the game, you don't have an account yet, be sure to click the link in the description. It's going to get you 2 million credits as well as a Albany, which is a premium ship, so you can get started very quickly. It is a affiliate link, I have to disclose that, and with that, that means that it's a sort of a sponsorship by Wargaming. Anyway, let me know what you think about the Richelieu yourself. Have you played it? Do you like it? How have you built the captain? Really interested to see stuff like that in the comments. For now, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon for more videos.